Energy. Energy. It is front and center. It's at the heart of the battle for freedom here and around the world. Are we going to bend over and take it? Are we going to allow governments around the world, including the American government, to hide behind the smoke screen of regulations and use it as a weapon against your ability to drive a car or own a boat, have a snowmobile, or anything else you fancy? How about lawnmowers? How long till those get outlawed? The UK's new prime minister was the first to hit back hard against the fantasy, yes, fantasy, that somehow sending Western civilization back to the Dark Ages by pulling the plug of hydrocarbons, that they love to call fossil fuels, is the only way to save us all from certain doom in the years to come. Liz Truss, on her first day as Prime Minister of the UK, ended that nation's ban on fracking. That will open up the flow of natural gas to address the energy crisis impacting all of Europe. It'll help out the UK first, of course. Other countries, as we have been talking about, like Germany, France, and numerous others, are also rejecting the globalist attack on freedom that was unleashed by trying to choke off reliable energy sources, including oil, natural gas, and coal, et al., all of it. Germany and France are leading the way in reopening or building brand new nuclear power plants to drive prices down by creating tremendous supply. And that's now spreading to America. In fact, something remarkable happened in Michigan on Friday that you probably have not heard about. Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who has been a leader in the war on domestic energy, has reversed course and is now working to reopen the Palisades nuclear power plant that was shut down in May. Years ahead of time. It didn't need to shut down. But she's accepting a plan from the federal government to reopen it. It will take time. It's a process, but it's coming back online. That's remarkable for a far-left Democrat politician, but here we are. The political and scientific reality is even setting in for the far-left politicians in some very blue places, but there seems to be a war going on, not just between red and blue, but inside the Democrat Party over a host of the most radical policies. But I don't think you should take one very sensible move by one far-left governor as a sign that Bernie Sanders and the four horsemen of the American energy apocalypse are going to dismount from the attack anytime soon, because they are not. They have drawn their swords, and they are looking to take away your energy freedom in the ongoing darkening of America. Even as Europe begins to light the way to a better future by waking up from its long slumber and saying, wait a second, we have no energy. Bad plan. No kidding. But like I said, Bernie Sanders and the four horsemen of the American energy apocalypse are riding high. One of those four horsemen might be Pete Buttigieg. And despite overwhelming evidence indicating converting to EVs too fast is not feasible, but he doesn't seem to care much about the facts. Listen to this.
Here in California, recently announced that by 2035, all vehicles that are new, that are sold, have to be electric vehicles or can't be gas-powered vehicles. What do you think about that? And is that something that could be a national model?
Well, it's interesting to see how the states are trying to go above and beyond what we're doing at the federal level. And I'm really interested to follow these developments while we continue to set a national policy that's the baseline for all of this. We need to move in the direction of electric vehicles. And look, industry's already there. At least one major automaker says they're not even planning to make gas cars past 2035. But we've got to make sure that this happens quickly enough to help us beat climate change. We've got to make sure it happens affordably enough that it's not just wealthy people, but low-income people who are the ones who most need those gas savings if they can afford the EVs in the first place.
Mm-hmm. What about the low IQ people? What about those poor folks who believe this is going to save the planet? It's interesting to note that the planet was over. It was done, right? By 2030. Now we have to move fast enough to head off global warming and climate change. You see how the goalposts move from here to here to here to here? Please. The stunningly stupid idea of ending the sale of cars and trucks powered by gasoline and diesel continues. Socialist California Congressman Sherman says it's just a wonderful idea. Of course he does. Listen.
In roughly a decade, we will not be selling gasoline-powered vehicles. Now, it'll take a decade or more after that before all the gas-powered vehicles are down to a small percentage of those on the 405 freeway. But that we see prices of electric vehicles coming down. We see the tax credits that Congress just adopted and the president signed. And we're going to see American energy produced in America, running our vehicles, and if we produce oil, we'll be able to export it to countries that would otherwise be dependent upon Russia and Iran. So this is a huge step forward from our national security.
So let me get this straight, just so I'm perfectly clear on this. We're going to take the energy away from Americans, right? We're going to rely on windmills and solar panels and unicorns and rainbows. But we're going to export that oil to other countries. So they're going to burn them. We're not. They will have energy security. We will not. And somehow that helps the planet. Like I say, the IQ of America is being lowered every day by people like Congressman Sherman. Now, BlackRock is an agent of the government, apparently. It's pushing Exxon and others not to be oil and gas companies at all. That, according to the Attorney General of the state of Indiana. And the war on energy is coming from all sides, quite clearly. Listen to this.
I mean, they basically want to take Exxon, for example, the world's largest oil company, if not one of the largest, and make it not an oil company. So, and I'm so glad, by the way, that you played that clip from Fink talking about how you have to force behavior, because they just wrote my group of attorneys general back and said, we're not forcing any behavior. We're doing what our clients want. We're doing what the state investors want. We're doing what pensioners want, and that is to look at decarbonization, to have us be a member of the Climate 100. So you just helped prove our case. Thank you.
Yeah, the war on energy. But again, the most remarkable thing that's happened the last 72 hours, Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan moving forward to reopen a nuclear power plant that had been mothballed years ahead of schedule. Why? Because Michigan is one of the states that's facing big blackouts and big energy problems down the road. You want General Motors to make only electric cars? Maybe they'll need electricity to charge those cars. But there's a bigger crisis coming. We're going to talk about this later today. And that is millions of electric car batteries. 6 million spent batteries by 2030. And these are giant batteries. What are you going to do with them? They've got cadmium and lithium and all these poisons and heavy metals. Where do they go? The landfill so they can destroy your water supply? Ah, yes, big problems ahead, but they didn't think about that. But I did. We'll talk about it straight ahead on the Steve Gruber Show.